Hello, Anita. I see your comment. We are here.
So impatient.
Hello? Yeah, as a matter of fact, hello, Anita.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I'm so loud.
I'll turn
Holy
some
crap.
stuff down. I noticed that it is pretty blowing both of us out of the water.
Are you loud too here?
Yeah, I'm pretty loud. That's why I had to. Now I'm very quiet. Yeah, there you go. Now we're talking. Hey. What up? Hey everybody, welcome to
This is Anita. How do we sound in the real world? Because I'm hearing some squirrely stuff here,
I'm hearing some squirrely stuff too.
but it's not too bad. I can deal with it as long as the world thinks it sounds okay.
And as long
It's
as
so quiet to them, they said.
on the last one?
She
Or
said
right
it's so
now?
quiet here. Okay.
Well, how about I turn up the
Well, that's weird because we're so loud for us, so quiet for them. Yeah, I don't understand how that's working. 1 and 2.
Oh, weird.
Man, we're cranked. Lots of crackling. Yeah, because something's cranking. Cracklin' O brand.
This is as good as it's gonna get.
Okay, it's fine. I don't know why it's crackling. I don't know why it sounds weird, but it's okay. We'll sort it out later. We'll sort it out by episode 100.
We're almost there, folks.
It is weird that she says, yeah, the volume's all the way up, and it's so strange. Because we're so incredibly loud.
Well,
Oh my God, you're so loud. Holy shit.
stuff is happening, guys.
I really want to deal with this, but it's just you're so insanely loud.
All right, let's see how loud this. Click Vortex. See the sound is looking very loud. That's Click Vortex here on Wastoids. And yeah, we are dealing with some audio back and forths. Let's see what we got here.
Anyway.
Well, what are we? The crackling sounds like someone's frying chicken. Well, somebody.
It does. It's very crackling, but we're here. You can hear us, right? So whatever. We're broadcasting from a bad vinyl. We are. That's the fun part about today.
Well, a lot of people don't realize
This doesn't
that.
make any sense. Like if you could see our
You can
monitors
see.
right
Look,
now,
it's
it
just
looks
like-
like we're so hot, and that's why you can hear all this crackling because it's like
Yeah, and you can see this is giving us the thing. It's saying it.
our meters are hot.
The meters are high, guys. But hey, so are we. Just kidding.
Yeah, it should be.
It probably would help with the situation. But welcome to another episode of Click Vortex with your hosts, Sam Means,
Hello, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Jason Woodbury.
Crackling.
That's us. Crack.
We're
That's
the
what they call
Cracklin-
us.
We're the Cracklin' Boys.
They call them old. This one is called Crack. Don't we have a brand new podcasting studio there?
We attempted to do that yesterday, but then it was too much work.
We thought about it. Wanted Hello Merch IT
It doesn't really have a
specialist.
video set up, if you might recall.
It's almost there, though. We will do an episode in the beautiful podcast studio at some point, but for now,
Someday we'll have an actual producer instead of us trying to produce a show
I will say that
and be stars at the same time.
I will say that we need to free ourselves up to be stars,
Right.
celebrities.
That's the hard part here. This is essentially a one-man show because I don't do anything.
You do things. You do things. In fact, you're going to kick us off today, but
Oh.
not before we get into talking about how our theme song was by Astrologer.
Yeah.
They've got some shows
They got
coming
a
up.
ton of shows coming
They
up.
got a ton of shows. I wanted to specifically shout out the one that's going down with Gruff Reese
Okay.
of Super Furry Animals. Remember Super Furry Animals?
Yeah.
He is still doing cool stuff.
Nice.
and that is on well, I know it's on a Monday. That doesn't help you much,
I think
does it?
they played last night, didn't they? I wanted to go last night, but
Oh,
I
really?
think they played the Dirty Drummer, but I couldn't make it out.
Okay, it's March 18th, and that is our boys
Nice.
and girls, and yeah,
I haven't seen
astrologer.
them in a while. I'd like to get out and see them.
Me too, and I'm so excited that they're going to be on that one. So yeah, but check them out because they've got other shows. They might be coming your way.
Wait, are you playing one of those shows too, or no?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought you were on one of them.
there was some
I
talk.
just expect you're on. If there's a show at the Dirty Drummer, I just expect you're on it. at this
Well,
point.
come check me out March 31st
Oh, there you go.
at
All
the
right.
Dirty Drummer
All right, cool.
with Rosalie, a special Easter show. I can't stop playing shows on
You love
Easter,
Easter
Sam.
shows.
What the
I
hell?
saw you last Easter. That's how I spent
know.
my Easter.
But I didn't. I'm not doing it on purpose. But
And
it
this
is
one-
happening
Oh yeah, last time it was in the carriage house
over
or
at
the carriage
Chibo.
house patio.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this one will be inside with Rosalie, and I'm so excited to play that. But I'm excited to see Astrologer, and I'm excited to get into this week's episode. We're talking about a topic that is near and dear to both of us:
Yeah, it is both near and dear to both.
fake
Yeah.
bands, or
Fake bands.
or fictional bands, or whatever. But before we do that,
Bands that are in the bands that would you say these would be bands that would be in the Beatles Cinematic Universe or
the
these are-
BCU.
Let's talk about that for a second, real quick, just to get the Beatles stuff out of the way.
Yeah, so as you may have, we talked about it on the last time. First, okay, corrections and omissions to borrow
Okay.
an Earwolf Paul Shear thing.
Yeah.
I think I referred to him as Sam Mendes as the director. I think it's Sam Mendes.
Oh, Mendes.
Mendes. I said it wrong.
When you see it, or at least when I do, when I see it, it looks like my name.
Sam Means.
It kind of looks like my name.
does look
when I
like-
read it, my brain just reads it like, oh, you're directing Beatles movies. That's cool.
I would be much more excited if you were directing the films that were going to be in the BCU.
They would be great. I'm not gonna lie, they would be great.
So they're talking about launching the BCU.
They're calling it the
Beatles Cinematic Universe.
Which is like maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's pretty dumb. Sam and I talked about how technically, as far as we're concerned, the Beatles Cinematic Universe already exists. You got all those Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine, Help, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So,
And in a way, well, never mind.
but I'm looking forward to like seeing like the end of the George Harrison movie. It's like George Harrison will return in The Traveling Wilburys.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
There's gonna be so many. They're basically
After-
trying to make it like the Marvel universe.
right. So there's gonna be like a after credits scene. So it's like you're finishing.
Right.
Paul McCartney, part one or whatever, and the final credit rolls, and then it opens back up, and it's him hanging out with Lee Scratch Perry, and they're getting super high.
Tommy's pissed. Sorry, Tommy.
Anyway,
I wanted to get it out of the way. All right.
so that
here we go.
that done. That's the last time we will mention the Beatles in this intro. They might come up.
They will come up
in the rest of the topics.
in the very next thing I'm going to talk about.
Beatles Vortex with Sam and Jason.
We
That's
should maybe
us.
just start in the Wastoids podcast universe. We should just maybe start a Beatles podcast.
In the WCU.
yeah. No, I
Wait,
just
what
my
is the
friend
cinematic.
my friend sent me this
The
video
WPU,
yesterday. I
the
don't know if-
Wastoids podcast universe.
Yes, WPU.
Your friends.
WPU.
What did your friend send you?
My friend sent me this video yesterday, and I just was like, I have to play this Unclick Vortex tomorrow because it's just funny. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I hadn't seen it. So do you remember Ray Cooper? Remember that name from somewhere? He's a drummer. He's a session drummer, and he played with some Beatles.
He's played
spoiler
with
alert,
some.
played with a few Beatles. He played drums on, I think, Son of Schmilson, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Nielsen record. And he also is. Well, let's just watch. Can we just watch this clip?
Which clip?
Number one.
Clip.
Yeah, these are in chronological order. So one would be the first one.
Okay. Let me
So check out Ray Cooper.
enter full screen.
This is Ray Cooper with Derek and the Dominos.
We're about to
which
find out.
we don't. At least I don't really like Derek and the Dominos. I forget your opinion.
Wow.
Watch Ray. Watch Ray get down on this gong.
think that gong insulted his mom or something.
Yeah, no, it's... And look, the funny thing is, like, in contrast, it's so impossible to not see how hard Ray is rocking out on his gong.
Even Eric's like, oh boy.
But it just shows how boring the rest of this band is. Like, they're all just standing there like... Look at them.
How?
Someone gave Ray a little couple too many toots.
Toots?
Couple too many toots before the show, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. That is
at the end of the clip, which it's long. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but spoiler alert: at the end of this clip, he does fully knock over the gong.
Really?
And starts.
Well, we're almost there.
The crowd freaks out. So I'll just set it up, I guess. Here we go. Eric Clapton's so pissed, by the way. He's like, "You're stealing my thunder, Ray."
Wow, Ray is... Oh, there it goes.
This gong. I don't need this gong anymore. Get out of here, gong.
Wow.
Yeah. Eric Clapton sucks. We talked about that, right? And also, like, that particular, my friend who sent that video, I was like, I've never liked Eric Clapton except for the end of end of Layla. I'm like, that's funny, me too. And it's funny. It's even funnier because he completely stole that part from someone else, I forget who it was, but.
I just that is the part that came up at my last band practice too.
Did it?
I feel like
we've
talked
about
that
it
song,
on Quick Vortex at some point. But yeah, he heard somebody playing it and he's like, "That's cool. We should just put that at the end of our song and pretend it's ours, and it could be this little part that everyone loves that someone else totally wrote and I completely stole from them."
Well, if loving him is gong, I don't want to be right. That was pretty dumb, guys. But it's only gonna get dumber. Speaking of we got here a great. I was gonna say, speaking of stuff that's dumb, Tommy has a cool suggestion here. Just kidding.
Oh, you're shooting fire, shooting.
I'm shooting back.
I'm shooting back at Tommy.
Tommy, no,
Tommy's
actually,
always good with the quick.
I actually like Tommy's idea. Like, says you should have lean into it and have someone from the warehouse dress up like a mailman and just bring you mandatory Beatles content each podcast.
Yeah,
be pretty
like
good.
That.
It's like, hang on. Someone's at the door, and it's like...
We do need more
Mr.
characters on this podcast.
That's for sure. Well, speaking of...
Maybe we could get the sound working first, and then we could focus on our character development.
Well, we do have a character that I wanna bring
Yeah,
up
Eric Clapton loves stealing stuff.
really quick. Before we get too far into stuff, I want to share a character who recently called in to the Wastoids hotline.
Oh yeah, so this is a new segment we just like to call clips of stuff that have nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, this is real quick. We'll get into this guy. So let's take a listen. This came over the 1-877 Wastoids hotline.
Wastoids.com. This is your grandfather. Weirdos.com. That's right. I got 1-800-WEIRDOS about 30 years ago, and I haven't taken calls there ever since. So you can call 1-800-WEIRDOS or go to weirdos.com. Why, you could even be on weirdos.tv if you like. Do you freak out? Are you freaked out?
I am
Freak out.
freaked
Are
out.
you freaked out? Freak out. Can you freak out? Freak out. Freak me out, Frank. Freak Out
Who's
was
Frank?
Zappa's first album. It was 1965, the first double album in rock and roll history. And it was an incredible piece. Why, if you listen to the second side, you can find out who could imagine that they would freak out.
Did he say 1-800
in
weirdos?
Washington,
Yeah,
D.C.
he's
got
not a
an 800
187. Well, he did it
Oh, he's
30
old school.
years ago, man.
DC, bop, bop, bop.
Yes,
Okay,
this
so
guy's
that-
been doing this since like the 90s or something, right?
Oh yes, 1999 is when he launched Weirdos. Are you
I
calling?
was gonna call. Should we call it?
Let's call it.
Let's see.
Let's see what we get here.
Hello and welcome to 1-800 with Dog. Get ready to leave your with that message after the tone.
It's kind of Twin
You
Peaksy.
will be lit on the air, and everyone will hear you being with. Let's go. Do it.
Oh, here we go. Hi.
Hey, this is the folks from Wastoids.com. We're just calling to say that we've been checking Weirdos TV out.
Dude, we think you're super weird.
We do.
Keep it up.
Keep up the weird work, weirdos. This is live on our podcast right now. Click Vortex.
Love you. Okay.
But what? So people are asking themselves. They're saying, "Well, hang on. What is Weirdos TV even like? And I did actually check out his most recent. This is a fairly recent episode.
How many videos does he have?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and they look like this.
And if you're careful and you keep away from the edges of the pond where I keep my most deadly desires, you'll be fine. In fact, you'll have a good time. You'll be educated and stimulated.
Okay.
You'll see that special place that I keep reserved just for you.
So anyway, that's a little
I love it.
little broadcast of Weirdos TV.
I love it.
That was episode 2407.
Okay.
And the title of that episode is the title of this episode is the title of the episode is the title, etc. So I started doing a little bit of digging on Weirdos TV. Jeremy X Halpern is the name of the guy. He's been doing it since 1999.
Where was this going prior to YouTube's invention?
He's been on Manhattan Public Access before as well.
Did you pull up any of the super old stuff? Because I wonder how cool that.
I haven't gone.
I like the new, modern sort of digital vibes, but I wonder what the really old ones look like.
Well, this one is from 2012, so we'd have to maybe.
And we could.
Wow, there's a lot of videos here.
Yeah,
let's see.
Something tells me it might take a while to find.
See what happens. Well,
some
yeah, my
90s
God,
goodies.
my God,
With 2,000 videos. I mean, that's.
He's doing so many videos. So, you can find out a whole bunch more about his stuff over at it's what it is it's like Weirdos. Here, I got to show everybody his website too.
Okay.
Which is pretty incredible as well.
It absolutely is.
Get to full screen. And we like old school websites. So as you can see,
and I love it's contained for the nerds out there. It's contained within an iframe.
So that's what's going on right there. Yeah. So it says if you are in Manhattan, NYC, we are on MNN channel 3 Spectrum, channel 1997, RCN channel 85, and FiOS channel 35 every Saturday night.
Yeah,
so
I'm
anyway,
gonna have to pull that up when I get to.
When you get there, you're gonna have to. So I started looking at all sorts of stuff going on over at 1-800-Weirdos, and he's great. He's got that floating head.
I love floating heads. I've said that many times. If
you go to his website and you dig in, you can find like all sorts of information, including his the inspiration for the floating head.
Was it?
It was
Vertigo?
just he basically said he just needed a character, like a persona, to do. That was a new train horn.
It's a little high pitch.
I think it's Weirdos trying to reach out to us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's what I found. The oldest one that he's got on his channel is from 12 years ago.
Let's harmonize with
Wow, this is a really...
Oh, now it's over. Oh, he did some live stuff. Oh, man, this is so great.
This is a different...
Something else.
I don't know who this guy is, but
devilish.
It's great.
He's got some other characters, too. Little devil
look at
character
that.
Here.
Anyway.
Little swanky devil character.
Well, when Jeremy calls us back, we'll get into it. We're gonna get him on Wastoids at some point. He actually called in long ago, and we did check his stuff out then. But the second call is what really inspired me. So
yes, and I appreciate that he refers to us as his grandfather, or him as our grandfather. This is your grandfather.
And you know what? I will say that
He's
the fact
right.
that he's been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
The only thing that's weird is who's his son, who's our dad then, or who's his daughter, who's our mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll figure that out. If you have an answer.
Yeah. Where is Dad?
All right. Well.
Okay, so should we actually start the show?
Now, 22 minutes in. Let's
left.
do it, guys.
All right. So we're gonna talk about the White Album.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about what are we talking about again?
Fictional bands.
Oh yeah.
Fake bands, imaginary musical combos.
Anybody have
you're
Allen
kicking.
wrench or something?
You're kicking up. Oh, and I even gave you the better one of the two.
Yeah, we gotta get these fixed.
Or do we?
So there's a movie called Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie. I can't even remember
Ebert.
where. Yeah, I can't remember where I first saw it. I think it was just on, like I don't know, AMC or something, or TMC, or one of those things, or maybe it was just I don't know. It was randomly on TV, and I was like, what am I watching? And that was quite a while ago. It's a pretty freaky movie. It's there's a movie called The Valley of the Dolls, and it's very different. So
Right.
there was this movie's, kind of like a
If I remember right, like Valley of the Dolls is based on like a book or something.
yeah, and this kind of is too, except it's more of a spoof. So yeah,
Right.
you mentioned this was
Ebert,
Roger
Ebert.
Ebert wrote
Known
the
for
screenplay
his,
for this movie.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Russ Meyer, who did a lot of stuff like this. And I guess it was right on the heels of Easy Rider. It was a low budget movie that just did really well, and so the movie studio started looking into people who could make like just weirdo, kind of just out of the 60s, like weirdo movies for nothing and potentially make a fat profit. And this movie did that. I think the budget was like under $1 million, like $800,000, and I think at the box office at the time it grossed like $9 million or something crazy. And then now apparently it's become such a cult classic, such a cool thing over the years for people like me. At one point in time, Roger Ebert, before he passed away, because I don't think is he alive anymore?
No, he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. He claimed I got a little reboot.
Yep.
He
Definitely not
he
something
claimed-
I wanted to do.
He claimed it had grossed like $40 million or something crazy over the years. Anyway, so in the movie Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, there is a fictitious band known as Carrie Nations, and this band is really funny. There's also a real band in it called Strawberry Alarm Clock. Who is good. They had that. They were sort of a one-hit wonder. They had the Incense and Peppermint song, like Incense and Peppermint.
My old band named our first EP after a misheard lyric from that song. I don't actually know what the lyric is. It was like our old drummer Jeff. He used to always say, "Incense and peppermint, triple mankind," which we don't know what triple mankind
I don't know what
is.
the words are there. That's why I went. That's what I say.
So we decided we were going to name our EP "Triple Mankind."
Wow,
and we did.
It's a terrible name, actually.
It's a terrible but there were three of us. You got to understand. It
Right.
was technically very funny.
So speaking of funny, so the funny thing about this band is they didn't really try. I mean, they have these sort of like babes playing the characters. That's the idea. It's like the word vixen is thrown around a lot. lots of vixens in this movie.
Ebert, notoriously horny music critic.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say, seems to
A little bit of a horny guy.
he's a horny guy.
And as was Russ Meyer. Vixens were a recurring theme in the Russ Meyer
Russ
Cinematic
Meyer
Universe.
verse. All right, well check this out, man. I even managed to get my computer
Oh,
up.
thank
do
God.
we want to hit this clip?
Yes, well, just real quick.
Yeah.
So this band, the vocals, it's what's funny about this band is like they didn't even really try to connect the vocals to the character really in any way. So they just in any of these performances, and there's quite a few, that none of them make any sense. But yeah, let's pull up the first or the clip, I guess I pulled for the show.
Oh Lord!
Yeah, this is a very intense movie at times.
Y'all can't see, but this is great.
It's so.
Yeah, she's not really.
Watch the drum fill here. It's my favorite.
Nailed it.
Look, nice try. All right, that was a fast one. So the vocals here were lip synced by the actors, clearly, and performed by Lynn Carey, who was she actually was a Penthouse pet.
Oh wow!
And she was the lead singer of a band called Mama Lion, and they were
Real?
They were a real band, and they were skunky. I mean, she has like a very powerful voice. I listened to a couple Mama Lion songs, and I was not a. I can't say I was a fan, but I will say she She was.
She's got the pipes.
She had the pipes.
Yeah.
She was really belting it out in a way that made me want to kind of
I just love
take a nap. But
I just love all those hippie exploitation movies where it was like the kids are into this weird hippie stuff. Put some fuzz guitar in that movie.
yeah, well, the cool thing about that fuzz guitar, well, I don't know if it's a cool thing, but it was clearly ripped off from Os Mutantes. Like,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. It's like the
Our boy
literal-
CCDB should
Yeah.
be getting some royalties for that.
Yeah, and then the other vocalist, there's two vocalists in that group. The other one is Barbara. So this is funny because I mentioned to you I have a stabbing headache and neck pain, so I'm a little out of it the last 24 hours, 48 hours. And the other vocalist in the group, her name is Barbara Robison, it's probably Robison, but it's Barbara Robison is how I was reading it.
Baba.
Baba Robinson.
Barbara Walters.
And I was reading through it, and I was like, oh, she was in this band called the Peanut Butter Conspiracy. That's
Hey, I know them.
Yeah, they were like a San Francisco. They were part of that whole groovy scene there in San Francisco with the Crosbys and
The Grateful Dead and
Grateful
the
Dead and all
Jefferson
those people.
Airplane. And the,
yeah, which is that girl is clearly the what's her face, Lynn Carey. She's doing sort of like the Jefferson Airplane vocal, Janis Joplin vocal, belting it out vocal. Anyway, so I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, that's funny. She was once married to Robbie Robinson, and I'm
Hey.
like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know that she was. And I like looked up. I looked it up and I'm like, well, I don't see her name anywhere. That's weird. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, wait, why does this say Robbie Robinson and not Robbie Robertson? And then I was like, oh, because she wasn't married to Robbie Robertson. She was just married to Robbie Robinson
just a different guy
or Robison or whatever. It's a completely different guy, but
whose name is similar.
the spelling of the name Robbie, I guess, kind of threw me off for some reason because you don't really see a lot of like Robbie. I don't know, whatever it was. I was reading. I went down this whole rabbit hole trying to figure out why I couldn't find anything where she was actually linked to Robbie Robertson, and it's because she wasn't at all.
Well, sometimes when you're clicking, that's what you find.
Yeah, my note here says basically you're just an idiot. So I just wanted to make sure I said that.
Not you, the listener or the viewer. We've got looks like we got Avery from Green Sahara here in the group.
Oh, nice. And
featured on the latest
Robitussin. Yes.
Robitussin.
And her second husband was Robbie Robitussin. Yes, that's right.
Heir to the Robitussin
Yeah.
fortune. Hey, we got Bob VP in the mix.
Oh, thank God.
We
need
got
Bob.
Tommy. Yes, Tommy.
We really need Bob and Tommy to carry the show for us. Hi, Bob.
Thankfully, they're both here, and yeah. Okay, so
Anyways, I love this movie. It's an all-time kind of cult classic. It's
Beyond the
it's a
Valley of the Dolls.
psychedelic freak out, as you'd say. It's it's made in 1970, so it's like just before movies start getting super 70s, and
Sure.
they're milking the 60s as much as they possibly can. So it's a little bit of a throwback to the the previous 5 or 6 years, I'd say, of that whole
I like
that
it.
whole era. But it's cool, and I realized I haven't really seen a lot of other Russ Meyer movies, and I want to go back and watch some. I don't know where I'm going to find them, but I do love this movie. I think I even have like the Criterion version of it.
Because it does exist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
bought
great.
it at one of those crazy flash sales that they did. I bought it.
They just had another one of those 50% off. I didn't indulge this time.
I did it a few years ago, and I got most of the Wes Anderson movies and
Oh heck yeah!
and definitely all the David Lynch movies.
Someday we're gonna have to do a Click Anderson episode where it'll be
Yeah.
Wes Anderson
Yeah,
or a
let's
Wes
do it.
Vortex. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, so another little interesting fact, just a little click vortexy type thing here. So I was looking through and leave it to the good old music business. Because of royalty disputes, there were different versions of the soundtrack to this album. Lynn Carey was not allowed to be on the soundtrack at all.
That sucks.
So she's in the movie. She's singing every single song. She's belting her heart out, and then they're just like, "Sorry, you're not going to actually be on the soundtrack." And the soundtrack was super successful. It had kind of hilariously, she was replaced by someone named Amy Rushes, who I looked up, and Amy Rushes is a gospel recording artist. And I did a little bit of research on Amy and just wanted to give you guys a heads up. She's got a new CD out called Stand Up for Jesus. If you want to go check that out, it's pretty cool.
Amy Rushes,
Amy Rushes, yeah, Stand Up for Jesus.
who's married to Geddy Lee from Rush.
Yeah, yeah. That's the other. I was looking through. I was like, I don't see Geddy Lee anywhere. It's
What the
weird.
heck?
He's not in her bio.
Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah,
Stand
Up
for
for Jesus is a good one. Check that one out. And it
Well,
took
did-
until 2003 for Lynn to end up on the soundtrack. They finally re-released the CD, the compact disc,
Wow.
and vinyl, and they included her. But by that time, everyone was so used to the Stand Up for
other-
Jesus versions that they needed to keep that, so they added the other stuff as like bonus tracks. And I think they eventually split them off and had 2 different versions. But
Holy moly.
But yeah, that's crazy. I like that movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. The music, I don't really love the music, but I do love watching it in the movie because it's so ridiculously unmatched to everything that's happening in the rest of the film.
The film.
Rest of the film. And I do love Strawberry Alarm Clock, and they play like 2 or 3 songs in that.
They're great.
They're playing at a party, so that's cool.
I am a fan of both incense and peppermint.
Yeah, so let's skip a little bit. So I didn't make this connection, but we just started watching Dave. The 3rd season of Dave, which I just found out is the last season of Dave. I don't know if have you ever watched that show?
I still have not watched Dave. That's the one with the Little Dicky, I believe.
Lil Dicky, yeah. So it's stupid. Like, it's really dumb.
I
but
like
it's
stupid,
but it's
though.
like funny. I like really stupid stuff. So
Yeah.
So I kind of, it's one of those things where it's just like put something on and I can look up every once in a while and giggle.
The people who watch this show also love stupid stuff.
Yeah, that's why they're watching us right now. But I thought it was interesting because I didn't really make the connection yesterday when I was like, oh yeah, let's do fake bands. But
Oh yeah.
Lil Dicky kind of is a fake. It's this weird parallel, and I was going to mention this because the Beatles. I was like, I can't really think of another situation like this, but kind of like the Beatles sort of did that. Like the Beatles were in movies where they were the Beatles, but the situations that they're in were not real. Everything was scripted, and so it's like,
Right.
Or it's like Curb Your Enthusiasm is
Sort
Larry
of-
David, and there's characters that are real.
Right.
But then there's also characters who are actors who play other people. So it's like this
Sure.
weird mix, and that's how Dave is. He's Lil Dicky. He's got his friend Gata, who's his real life hype man, real life rapper. They're both sort of playing the thing. But I thought it was. I don't have a lot to say, but I guess the other thing I was thinking was like sort of the Monkees.
Well, the Monkees they're fascinating, right? Because they're like a band that was assembled for TV,
Yeah.
but then sort of became a
They
real
became a
band,
real band.
like after the fact.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was
Very-
interesting how that.
I
how that played out.
almost went down the rabbit hole with a ton of monkey stuff on
I
this.
almost did too, but then I thought you were going to do it, so I didn't.
Well, I thought that you might do it.
Yeah.
So I found some other stuff. But no, yeah, the Monkees are another example of that, like, TV meta fiction. Metafiction is what you'd call that, maybe?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I think
Borrows
it's kind of
from
I
real
think it's
life.
kind of genius because it's just a good marketing tool for like Dave. This Dave Bird guy had some success before the show started. That's how he got the show.
Right.
But then he would build his album releases into the show. So he's promoting an album through a TV show. So they're talking about this album that exists in the TV show Peanut. But then, yeah, it's the Fresh Beat Band. What was? Oh, is that like a? That's a Lola thing, like a Nickelodeon thing or something, right?
It
What was the
must-
Fresh Beat Band?
I don't.
It's
yeah.
ringing a bell, but I can't remember which one because my brain is being stabbed.
I don't remember. I don't know them, but then again,
It's something with Lola was a kid. I forget what it was. Anyway, I don't want to get too much on this, but we were watching it last night, and Anita was like, she's like, I guess it's funny people compare this to Atlanta. Which, have you watched that show?
Mhm.
And I guess I understand why it's like why people make that comparison because it's like it's about a rapper. You got these like friends out, but it's an absolutely different show. Like it's unbelievably different.
yeah.
Atlanta is actually, I consider Atlanta to be maybe one of the coolest shows I've seen in
Yeah,
the last 10 years. It's like incredibly weird. It's got some very cool Twin Peaksy type weirdo shit in it.
Some very cool. Yeah. Maybe
it
people
doesn't
compared Lil Dicky to that because they're on the same channel.
I don't know, but it was funny because I looked it up and Donald Glover well, I guess first he talked a bunch of trash on it on Twitter and then deleted it because he was just like, you guys are stupid. Like this isn't anything like these shows aren't anything like each other. But then later he expanded. So I don't want to stick on this too long, but I did pull up a funny quote I thought from Glover. He said, I think in entertainment or art, it's important to know the difference between things. Like Anthony Bourdain wasn't pretentious, but he definitely knew the difference between a dry-aged Wagyu and a smash burger. Neither is better or worse than the other. They're just different. and he concluded by saying, "It's a good burger. You should eat fast because the ingredients are fresh, and it's from a guy who didn't study culinary school but paid close attention to the other burger spots and has a good plug on ingredients."
He's talking about
He's
Lil
talking about
Dicky?
Lil Dicky. He's basically just saying like, "Hey, this show's cool." Lil Dicky's been like watching how how the hip hop community works, and he's making a go of it for himself, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not even close.
And
I agree.
And as Ma'am absolutely correctly brings up, Atlanta has Lakeith Stanfield, which
Yes.
definitely gives it a huge. He's so good, but so is what's her name, Saucy Beats or Zazie Beats.
Yes, everybody
Everybody on
Atlanta-
that show is really good.
Atlanta is
Paperboy.
Atlanta's absurd. Like that's maybe one of the coolest, even the coolest casting.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
the best casting. And that Donald Glover is like the manager in the show is very smart. I don't know. The whole thing is
Now
cool.
I just wish I had just come up with just Paperboy stuff.
I
Just
know.
stuff about
well,
Paperboy.
we should do an episode on Atlanta because it is such a weird show. Like there's so many cool things on that on that show. Crucial Taunt.
Crucial Taunt did make my my long list.
Yes, Crucial Taunt
We've
was
talked
considered.
so much about. By the way, just in case you're wondering, because I know you are, that Tia Carrera did do all her own vocals for
Yeah.
that. I learned that yesterday.
Man, she can really wail. So I wanted to get as far as away from some other things, that I thought maybe you would get to, and I don't suppose you got to Dirk Diggler from Boogie Nights.
No,
Probably not.
but I did. Yeah,
So I wanted to bring this one up. I wasn't going to do Dirk Diggler. I was going to do something else, which I will get to after Dirk. But I was like, well, Dirk Diggler also is kind of like a fake. It's kind of a fake band. There is that studio scene.
yeah.
And when I looked it up, there were a couple interesting little nuggets there. So I just wanted to throw it up. So here's the first clip of Mark Wahlberg doing "You Got the Touch" in studio with John C. Reilly.
Ready, Nick. Let's go, man. Dirk Diggler,
You see who that is at the board?
You got the touch. Take 7.
Well, I know John C. Reilly. Who's the other? Is that
That's Michael Penn,
Sean's brother?
and an incredible artist himself. Okay, so the funny thing about this, or the cool thing about this, I guess, is this band who's playing this right now is on synth. We got Brian Kehoe from the Moo Cookbook. We got Michael Penn probably doing I don't know what he's probably playing guitar.
Probably.
And then we got on keys and probably drums, I'm guessing, John Bryan.
That's incredible.
doing that song. And how amazing is that? I never knew that.
Well, the thing that's even you'll probably get to this, is that it is
It's a real song.
from the Transformers
From the
movie.
1986 Transformers cartoon show. It's a cartoon show. The movie.
It is a cartoon show,
It
but
is
it's
a cartoon
also
show,
a film.
but it's also a film. Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's
Film.
got our-
from the Transformers Cinematic Universe.
Orson Welles, his final role.
Yeah.
It's the voice of Cybertron.
Yeah. So this song was originally written by Lenny Macaluso and sung by Stan Bush was the artist who did it.
It's called The Touch.
It's called The Touch. Lenny did a ton of TV and film work. He did the theme for My Two Dads and some music for Spaceballs. But yeah, it was
Classic.
from the Transformers movie, which I actually didn't know that. And Sam, how could you not mention Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg? Oh, I'm going to. Anita knows me too well. Anyway,
Anita, quit spoiling the show.
Yeah,
you gotta
stop
let
spoiler alerting.
you gotta let this stuff unfold at the normal, natural
Yes,
pace
I'm
that we
talking about
work
stuff
at.
that God, give me a minute. Anyway, so the second song I thought was also funny. And the reason I pulled this clip is because we were just talking about how cool John C. Reilly is. Because I watched
Easily
him,
the coolest.
I watched him in some stupid movie. I don't remember. You seem to know what it was called. Like
No,
The
I-
Bosses or something, or Free. I don't know. He was like working at a supermarket with Stifler from American Pie. I don't know.
It sounds good. I do remember suggesting.
Employee
was
of the
it-
month.
Is that really what it was? You
No,
think?
but I think it probably was.
That's
that.
what I said.
That sounds right.
Okay.
And we were talking about how he's a good singer, but he's also a great guitar player. Because watch this.
Here we
If you
go.
haven't seen Boogie Nights, I mean, what's wrong with you? But
He will roll you. Baby, don't you know my heat will move your soul. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Love me today.
Okay, that song is credited to John C. Reilly, who's shredding that Flying V, and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Writing credits.
Got
Yeah,
some
it's
writing
beautiful.
credits on that, yeah.
I do think, Boogie Nights 1 it's an incredible movie. It's one of my favorites. Definitely a favorite PTA.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies I used to always joke about how, because I went through a long stint where I was watching a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson movies at bedtime, and I used to
It's
joke
an
that
interesting time to watch a movie like that.
I used to joke that Boogie Nights was like a fun movie to fall asleep to, but a bad movie to wake up halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
Because it starts off, it's just like, oh, it's the 70s and it's fun and everybody's on roller skates and it's cool and it's, everybody's having fun. And
Now
then it's
people
like,
are ODing
oh
and
no, it's
on
not
cocaine
going
and
good. And what's his name?
depressing.
William H. Macy's killing his wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
an incredible movie. And
very good movie.
and Mark Wahlberg is truly singing like that is like because he probably can sing just fine.
I don't know about that. He can rap.
He can rap.
Boy, can he rap.
Boy, can he
Anita, speaking of Anita, she went and saw Marky Mark, I think, when she was like 12 or 13 or something.
Well, speaking of John C. Reilly, as I told you, I saw him perform a bluegrass set once, and he was great.
He's a shredder all around.
John C. Reilly, an absolute hero, and a very funny guy.
Yeah, so to keep it in the Marky Mark family, Anita, thank you very much. I did want to get to the movie Rockstar, where Marky Mark plays in a band called Steel Dragon.
So I've never seen this movie.
It's really dumb. This is, I already said I like stupid stuff. So
yeah.
This is another one where they don't even attempt even remotely close to get the limp syncing right. We can pull up this clip if you want. You can see what I think. There's even a point where like he stops singing and it's still going. Like, watch.
Do you want me to hit this bad boy?
Yeah.
All right.
Like right there, he doesn't even go into the screen. And he's doing like an Eddie Vedder thing. Dude's ripped.
Sounds like going to the country,
gonna
eat a lot of peaches.
It really does sound like that.
Wow.
So this band, Steel Dragon. So this masterpiece, Rockstar,
Yes.
this follows a band called Steel Dragon. They replaced their original singer with a fan, and it was actually loosely based on Judas Priest when Rob Halford was replaced by a fan, Tim Ripper Owens, who was he was a lead singer of a Judas Priest cover band, and that happened again later with what was it, Journey?
Where they got a new
singer. It was like someone who was like a tribute singer to Journey and knew all the parts and could really he could really wail.
A much younger singer. My computer died again. What is happening?
Oh, I don't know.
What is happening, guys?
Is it not charging? It's okay.
It's
I can keep rambling.
Keep rambling about.
So this is one of those things where I'm like, this is what's happening. Now Miranda's talking about Eurotrip. What? Okay. The band is Steel Dragon. The tribute band that Tim Ripper Owens was in was a British band called British Steel. So so it's like, okay, there's a little nod to it.
Similar.
Steel Dragon, British Steel. A little bit more on that in a second. But the real band was made up of, or the fake band was made up of real metalheads. We got Zakk Wylde on guitar, who I guess played with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Label Society. You got Jason Bonham. He had a famous dad and is a bit of a drummer himself. You got Jeff Pilson, who played with Dokken and Dio, and Foreigner, which, by the way, I hear Foreigner deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So,
is that what somebody has recently said?
Many people are saying that.
Many people are saying this.
Yes, and I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is stupid. So whatever.
But if
everybody should be in it.
But if they said
Throw
that
'em
they
all
were
in
gonna induct you,
I'd take it.
you'd be right.
I'd take it.
Would you? Do you think who would, if you had to pick somebody to, because they always have somebody like introduce you,
The
right?
induction person.
The induction. Who would you ask to do it?
Who would I'd ask you.
I would do it.
I'd only feel comfortable if it was you. Anyone else, I'd feel weird.
In a heartbeat, I would do it.
And I'd make sure you have your computer with you. So you'd be frantically trying to get your computer to turn on. During the induction ceremony.
The entire time that you've been talking about the metalheads in this fake band, I've been thinking, could I do all of my clicks from memory? And with no...
I couldn't. I definitely couldn't.
You couldn't do my clicks from memory.
No, I couldn't do them. And then on vocals, there were actually 2 singers because they needed to get like just the regular voice and then somebody who could really belt it.
Okay.
And that was Jeff Scott Soto, and then the high pitched stuff is Majenko Matijevic, and he was in a band.
Did you say Majenko?
The great Malenko Majivaslik. He was in another metal band called Steel Heart, which is even crazier.
Wow.
So now there's, and then I looked up. This is just because I like to. You know how I like to round things out. I looked up Steel Heart, and I realized that they had a power ballad hit in the early 90s called Never Let You Go. And you know who else had a little bit of it, a hit a little bit later with the song called Never Let You Go? Third Eye Blind. And Stephen Jenkins from Third Eye Blind is also in this movie. So I pulled a clip of him saying, I think one of his only lines, he just says, holy shit. And he says it in pure disbelief when he sees that Marky Mark has joined Steel Dragon.
Is this what this is?
Yeah.
Izzy? Yeah, the name's like Izzy Izzy's Revenge.
Yeah, anyway,
Wow.
I love that. So
That's a lot of
no
connections.
Joke, this movie came out in my like absolute crazy hype Third Eye Blind phase, and the only reason I went to go see it is because I found out Stephen Jenkins was in it. I went to go see it in the theater with Anita. We went and saw this, and it's horrible, but it's
Was somebody just doing sort of a was somebody just doing an Australian accent? Is that what he's supposed to have
he's
there?
doing a British accent.
It's a British accent.
Yeah, it's supposed to, so he's
That made me
he's
think-
not British, even in the movie he's not, but they make him put this on like because they are all British. The band is British.
I see.
And they're like, look,
I see.
man, you have to be British just like us.
You guys went to the UK last year, right?
Yeah.
This is something that just popped into my head that apparently I have no filter and have to say the things that pop directly into my head on the mic now.
Yeah.
Anita, did people call you Anita in like the UK?
Anita?
Don't you notice
No,
they sort of do like a
So Billy Joel does that.
they do like a R at the Brenda.
like Brenda and Eddie.
Brenda and
Brenda
Eddie.
and Eddie.
I could picture like especially Australian though. That's why I was thinking Anita.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know,
more of an Australian thing. And
Either
and I don't
way.
know if you know this, but Australia's not in the UK.
No.
But the UK
Holy
in spirit is
shit.
in Australia, as they colonized most of Australia.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
It's one of their.
Oh, and one more thing.
Keep it coming.
One more cameo in the movie outside of Stephen Jenkins was a man named Michael Starr who was in a band called Steel Panther. So there's just lots.
All steels.
So many steals.
If we started a steel band, could we call it? Do you think we could say Steel Butt?
Steel Butt. Yeah.
Steel Toe?
Steel Toe, Steel
Oh,
Butt.
Steel Toe actually is kind of
Steel
cool because
toe.
isn't that like a kind of boot? You can get a steel toed boot.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Pretty good stuff.
I was gonna keep going. I mean, I pull up my runners up, and it was like Stillwater, Almost Famous. That's a good one. We could have talked about Crucial Taunt for sure. Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie and the Cruisers is a great one. Josie and the Pussycats is a really great one. I feel like we've talked about that a little bit though. on
Very
here.
and also fairly recently, Josie and the Pussycats is on the Criterion channel.
Oh,
right
really?
now.
Because I just told Lola that she needed to watch it because I think she's really would like it, but she wouldn't.
You know, so I went and saw Josie and the Pussycats with my family, my dad, my stepmom, my siblings, when it came out, and I remember my brother had a huge crush on what's her name, Rachel Lee Weisz, is that her name? Rachel Lee Cook.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, guys. But anyway, I remember going to see it, and I remember thinking when we saw the movie, like walking out, wow, that was like really good. That was like a good
It was
movie.
incredibly
way
good.
better than I expected. And then around the time of the pandemic, it came up again. Becky and I were talking about it. And my friend wife Becky, and she was like, maybe we should give it a shot. And I thought to myself, it's gonna kind of stink when I watch it and realize it's not that good.
No, it's good.
Wrong. It's better than I remembered.
Yeah.
It's so good. Anyway, so incredible film. Watch that. It's very funny.
Yeah, because I guess
Very funny
I
music.
still haven't seen the Barbie movie. You've seen it, but in a lot of ways, it sounds like they were sort of similar in that it was kind of just like you think you're going to see some girly movie, but there's these undertones.
Yeah, a little bit more subversive.
Yeah, and the
I like
Josie and the Pussycats is cool because it's just like dead on about like consumerism and corporatism and the music industry and product placement and how weaselly everybody is that works, and it's all
So
how
good.
they are trying to get you down, man. Let me tell you something, brother.
We're about to start going. We're going
Hulk Hogan.
We're going Alex Jones next.
Yeah. There's a
They're
Twitter
putting
account that
chemicals in
every
the water.
single day posts the same clip of Alex Jones just like
Beat
just
red.
pure like just going on a pure profanity rant, and they just post it every single day.
My
It's
favorite one of
pretty
his
hilarious.
is when he gets really red and he goes, "I'm a man."
I love when he any excuse for him to take his shirt off,
And that's
show.
something that we're working on
We're
here
gonna start
on the
going
show.
shirt-
Is we're gonna start going shirtless.
I just saw another band that was shirtless, and I still don't get that. And the RX Bandits are coming to town this weekend. If you're an RX Bandits fan, they used to play quite a bit shirtless, and I love those dudes. But man, I gotta say, I don't get the shirtless thing. I think they were doing it kind of like a, maybe like a Bradley Noel Sublime's
Yeah.
style thing is what they were going for with the shirtless vibes. I
Well.
don't know. Anyway, they don't do it anymore. I don't think. Now they're old guys. Okay, your turn.
All right. So, let's really quick want to acknowledge Anita saying it's like Wayne's World for chicks. I think she's talking about Josie and the Pussycats, which that does make a certain amount of sense. Because if you think about it,
Not quite.
though, the plot is pretty much the same. Some cool people are doing their own thing.
Yeah,
Big industry types sneak on in,
I guess.
try to co-opt what they do,
A little bit.
successfully co-opt it for a while,
One's a public access TV show. One's a band. Yeah, okay, I'm following.
and then eventually they just, whatever, they rebel
yeah,
and they do the right thing.
Yeah.
And you find out that Seth Green and all those other guys are still alive. I didn't mean to spoil that. Anyway,
spoiler alert. All right, your turn. And let's hope your computer doesn't shut down.
there's no telling what's about to happen. But okay, so I decided that if we didn't already get copyright strikes, maybe we could do it
Yeah.
with this clip really quick. Here we go.
Do you think the copyright police are just like, we don't care about the movie Rockstar? It's fine.
Probably.
Oh, you're pulling in Star Wars? Oh, now I said Star Wars, and now we're really going to get killed.
Hang on. Where are they at?
We don't serve there.
I'm trying to just get the little guys. There they are. Okay, look at these guys.
This is fake band. Love 'em.
All right. So the reason that I pulled that clip up is because I'm interested in seeing if Disney cares enough.
Yeah,
But-
they do. They definitely do.
So those guys, those little alien guys, have long been like my favorite part of Star Wars.
That's the
I just think they're
Cantina
so-
Band. Is that the official name?
Well,
Or do they have a...
as you are about to find out, they actually have a real band name.
Oh.
It is Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes.
Okay.
And they are known.
They had to come up with a name for the record, probably.
Well, yeah, what record?
Was there a Star Wars soundtrack?
Well, there definitely was, but what about this?
Whoa.
So a couple things. One, I found this on the internet.
Beatles.
It says Figrin Dan with the modal notes.
It's the
Modal
no-
nodes,
nodes.
with the D.
Yeah.
By the way, smooth stream today. Hey,
Finally.
thanks, Bob. And that's
Hey,
what
we
my
don't even have our-
urologist recently told me.
And we don't even have our new internet yet.
But we're about to, and if you
In a
hear any
couple days.
clanking, that's because that's what they're doing. So anyway, I went down the rabbit hole and learned a whole bunch about Figrin Dan and the modal nodes. We've also got there's another band from Star Wars what do you know about the Max Rebo band? That's who this is. They're from Return of the Jedi. Do you remember them?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Okay,
The elephant on the crate. That it's like a xylophone or something.
It's
right?
like a little xylophone. That
Yeah.
guy's got a weird space clarinet. There's a.
It's like a 360 xylophone. Is it a 360 xylophone or is it a 180? Kind of just half around him.
I think it's like half around him.
Yeah.
The singer there named Cy Snoodles.
Thanks for pulling up that fan art so we wouldn't get another strike.
So the main reason why I decided to talk about this was because they are in Star Wars. They had to come up with the name for the kind of music they play.
Oh, right.
So they decided that they don't play jazz. That's something we have here on Earth.
Right.
In a galaxy far, far away, they call it jizz.
Oh, okay.
Jizz.
Very different thing.
Not only that, they call people who play jizz music jizz whalers. So what happened was in
That's a cool band name too.
Jizz Whaler.
Yeah, Jason Woodbury and the Jizz Whalers.
So in the Return of the Jedi novelization, the writer James Caan introduced the term jizz whaler to describe.
How unfortunate.
So the term jizz, they later, and this is a book that I had in the 90s. It was called Tales. Yeah, 100%. Mac
Yes,
DeMarco,
I was just
jizz
thinking
jazz.
that Mac Marco's got the cool jizz.
He
jazz hat.
100% must have at some point read about the Star Wars thing.
Yes.
So they started calling it.
It's all making sense now.
They used the term jizz whaler first, and it kind of existed on its own, and then eventually they in the book Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina that came out during the era where if you were a Star Wars nerd like me.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't new movies for you. There weren't TV shows.
There
you just
wasn't
had
a
to read
cinematic
these.
universe.
You just
It had
had to
not been
read
expanded.
these. Yeah, it hadn't been. It was
just had
just those three
books.
movies. You just had books, weird books where they talk about jizz and
Yeah.
how the people who play jizz are called jizz.
So later, when
whalers.
you started hearing about other types of jizz, how did that connection work for you? Was it difficult?
Yeah, it was really upsetting.
Okay.
I was like, this is a kind of music. You must be wrong.
This is wrong, fellas.
This is wrong, fellas.
kids.
So anyway, Figuring Dan and the modal nodes. That's where I decided to start. And then
Sorry, guys. My Uncle Kelly's calling. Hold on one second. I got to take this.
he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I've been hanging out with the weirdos.com guy.
Yeah.
He told me to give you a call. Okay. Yeah, we're really going. So I'm gonna
We're really.
I'm gonna do some jumping around so that we can end on a normal time. Okay, so
Are we already at an hour?
yes.
Holy crap! All right.
So I started there with the Star Wars jizz thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then, of course, have to just point out that I got home last night and I was just hanging out watching clips on the internet, and I discovered something that just we're gonna have to show everybody here because it's pretty important.
Okay.
This recently came about.
Fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter.
That's what your uncle.
Man, we're so in trouble for all this.
Maybe if I can just skip. Do you think I can skip?
I have something here for you.
Wait, why does it say if Andrew Tate was in Star Wars?
I don't know,
Speaking
man.
of douchebag alerts.
Jesus, what are we doing? What is happening? Why is it happening the way it's happening? Anyway,
So
okay.
explain.
Your uncle.
Star Wars in we could talk about people who create fake.
Well, you're back on your dashboard. You got to switch back to the camera. Here.
Oh,
I got
boy.
you. I got you here. There you go. All right.
I'm a great producer, guys.
I didn't see Spock notes on your dashboard this time.
I got rid of
They're
it.
still there.
I deleted all my Spock notes. Now I uploaded them to the cloud.
Let's take a little.
What that was,
Take
this
a
is
little
a
time out real quick. Tommy's asking a question. I want
Yes.
to. So what are you talking about, Tommy? When are you going to talk about people who create fake bands named after TV drama characters? Oh, right. Okay, so let me think of.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Just make sure there's one song.
Yeah. So that would be. Let's get it. I can't. Nothing's coming to mind right now, Tommy. I'm gonna need some help because something tells me you got a few on deck. You can bring up. All right. Anyway.
Okay,
While
so
we're
anyway,
waiting for Tommy to.
what we just saw there was when they first showed Star Wars in Chile in 2003.
Yeah.
They
On TV.
on TV.
Yeah.
The television station decided to insert ads for
Genius.
for beer
Right.
directly into the films so as to not have to cut to commercial.
Yeah.
And so if you go, it felt like something that was so fake that I was like, this person just made this up and posted these goofy things on Twitter. It's very funny, but it's not real. Started doing some research. Very real. 2003 is when this happened. George Lucas was not pleased. You can see Yoda reach for a beer. You can see the Emperor reach for a beer. It's a pretty incredible
I think the Emperor
stuff.
one is the funny. You showed me these earlier. The Emperor one is the funniest one because he just like holds his hand out and like the Force brings the beer to him. We're hopefully we don't get busted on that one. But anyway, It might have been short enough. Oh, Tom. Okay, so I should have known this. Yes, Tommy's referencing a good example of this would be a band that a fake band that I created. that I should have probably remembered. Saeed and the Torturers. That's from Lost. So I have a song that I put out, like a sort of like a punk song, a very loud, distorted song that I put out under the name Saeed and the Torturers because I was watching Lost.
and
quite a bit.
that's something that they reference.
Yeah, so in the show, there's a moment where it does a close up on Saeed. He was a torturer in the army, and there's a point where it closes in and he says, "My name is Saeed, and I am a torturer." And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, and I was like, that would, and you know me and band names, so I immediately wrote it down. I was like,
Saeed
Saeed
and the
the
Torturers.
Torturers is like maybe the coolest
Wow.
punk band name ever, and so I released the one kind of punky song I ever did.
My friends
that.
from San Diego, the Donkeys, one of their songs got used in Lost, but as like the fake. There's a fake band. I want to say like Geronimo something. There's like a band that's like in the universe of
I mean,
Lost.
that's a great band. Well, Charlie's band. Who can remember what Charlie's band's name is? Oh man, I've watched Lost 3 times.
I've never watched Lost.
I might not remember this right now. So Charlie on Lost, he's one of the characters. He's the dude, the little guy from Lord of the Rings. Can't remember his name.
If you Google Donkeys,
He's a rock star in the show, and everyone's like, and he had like a hit, and they're like, "Oh, that was you."
That's what it is. Okay, so they played a band called Geronimo Jackson
Oh,
in
yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
But they just used the Donkey song Excelsior Lady,
That's
which is a really
cool.
good jam. Really good good jam.
I think. Oh yeah, Drive Shaft. Yeah,
I
that's
love
right.
those guys.
Drive Shaft is Charlie's band in Lost. Geronimo Jackson. I think that was in the weird season where all of a sudden the whole cast is in the 70s for some reason.
Yeah,
like they
makes
all go
sense.
through some time portal and end up in the 70s, and they're listening to Geronimo Jackson records in their VW. Yes, Drive Shaft. That's a great song, and it's a great plot. Little side plot in the movie Lost, in the film Lost, in the TV show Lost. I'm lost. My brain is lost.
We're about to get even more
Yes, the
lost.
song
So
is "You All Everybody," and I always thought it was "You Are Everybody." but
No.
it's "You All Everybody,"
y'all. Well, okay.
and that's, you know what, I was just thinking that's kind of a weird thing. But then there's that Space Hog song that's like, I never knew the lyrics of that either, but it's like, "Love the all of you." Did you ever know that was the lyrics?
I didn't realize that was the lyrics. No.
Love the all of you.
Oh, sure.
Okay, your turn.
Poor,
Your
poor
turn to
Sam.
start talking.
Sam's starting to break down, folks. All right, so we're going to continue on. One, I didn't talk about the Monkees. I could have, should have, perhaps. But I do want to talk about a movie that is actually pretty full of fake names for bands, and probably one of the most important movies that I've ever seen in my life.
Care Bears movie?
Yeah, how did you know? In terms of determining, yeah, the Gorillaz sort of a fake band. That does they came into my mind too, Tommy. Tommy's asking if the Gorillaz count as a fake band. They are fictional, and they do have sort of they are sort of like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe. But I'm going to talk about this another film, and here I'm going to pull this up.
High Fidelity.
It's Vincent Justin.
Who's Vincent Justin?
It's those little skate fuckers.
No way.
Way. It's really fucking good.
This is one of my favorite movies. Jack Black is incredible in
Hey,
it.
do you guys know Vincent Justin, the guys who come to my store? Yeah, right over there, man. Thanks.
This is, of course,
Hey, Tony. Your tape. It's good.
I know. We made it.
Thank you. I mean, it's rough, but unbelievably it shows promise. I'll put out your record. Any profits, we split down the middle after I recoup expenses, okay?
Recoup expenses, man. You're gonna recoup a big fat Mercedes is what you're gonna do.
We're not there yet, Justin.
Vince.
Whatever. What's the name of your band?
The Kinky Wizards.
Why does every band in every movie have the dumbest name?
I don't know, but
They always have to have the stupidest name. They can't come up with cool names.
So I decided that the Kinky Wizards is a pretty good fake band name. High Fidelity is also
King Gizzard and the Kinky Lizards.
sign a band after hearing 30 seconds. Remarkable. This is Sam from Hello.
You're signed.
Here you are. One, I love the Kinky Wizards. That's an incredible band name. Two, there's also a great band name in High Fidelity, Licorice Comfits, which is also not a real band name. But the thing is, I remember when I first... High Fidelity was such an important movie to me. It made me convinced that I should work in a record store.
Boy, were you wrong.
Spoiler alert, I did. And beyond that, the soundtrack really introduced me to a lot of cool stuff. The Velvet Underground's on it. I wasn't introduced to them by then.
Tim's making fun of my first band name. Listen, I know. All right.
That sentence got horribly messed up. Probably one of the sentences I said. What else do we got in High Fidelity on the soundtrack? Well, so the Kinky Wizards, the great song that is playing there, and it is really great.
Yeah, who is it?
That is obviously not something that they didn't...
It's not those two kids.
It's not those two kids.
Someone else did it.
And it's... So the two kids there, Vince and Justin, they... Earlier in the film, you see that they're stealing records from Championship Vinyl. John Cusack, a.k.a. Rob's show. But the actual song that is playing there is Inside the Game by Royal Trucks. Royal Trucks...
See, such a cooler name than Kinky Wizards.
An incredibly gnarly, mind-blowing band. Recently, The Spindle did an episode about Royal Trucks.
Yep. Go check that out.
About their single Hero Zero, backed with Love Is. So High Fidelity takes place in Chicago, was shot in Chicago. Royal Trucks, famously on the Drag City record label, at least until they got signed to a major. And so anyway... But that's how they sound.
Sellouts.
The Kinky Wizards. In the movie, of course, the Kinky Wizards, Rob decides to put out puts out their single. It's really cool. But he also invites Jack Black's character and his band, Barry Jive, and the Uptown Five to come perform as well because they get it. Anyway.
How do you feel about Jack Black as a
person?
As a comic book character, as a character of himself?
He's what I like him.
Yeah, I think he's a nice guy.
Generally,
I mean, I think it's like
I think
the
it's
shtick
funny.
I don't really love as much, but I like him as a person.
Well, so the folks over at the recent the Majestic Theater, which is like a theater in Tempe,
yeah,
they just posted like a reel on Instagram where they were asking all of their staff what movies they were most excited about. So many of these younger people were saying Kung Fu Panda 4. And talking about how they had like grown up on the Kung Fu
that's coming
Panda.
out?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were talking about how that's
catch up on the first three.
That's like a classic film, and it's like they grew up on it. And
I've never seen it.
So for all those kids, they don't think of Jack Black doing the obscene gestures he does in High Fidelity.
Yeah.
They think of Kung Fu Panda.
Oh.
They don't think of the Tenacious D
right.
or Mr. Show or any of the great things. But I do think he's fantastic. High Fidelity, not his first movie.
No.
I think he's in the Neverending Story Part 3 or 4, one of the direct to, we just had our first glitch, I think.
Oh, there goes your computer. Oh,
it's back. Thank God.
All
right.
Yeah, I like Jack Black. I haven't seen, I got to say I didn't stick around after Neverending Story, the first one.
Oh.
I don't think I ever saw the other ones.
I
didn't know there were 3 or 4 of them.
But, I think there are.
Wow.
Okay, so what are we going to do?
That's a good song. The Never-Ending Story. Some punk band cover, like pop punk band covered that when I was a kid, I remember.
Maybe Newfound Glory, if I...
Yeah.
Or not.
No, I think you're right, actually.
All right, so we're gonna steamroll through...
I'm steamroller, baby.
2 more.
James Taylor.
I want to just drop this.
Oh.
Pretty similar.
Real groovy.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Banana Splits.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Banana Splits?
Vaguely, but yes.
So the reason that I selected this was only because this is a great song. Being a boy in love with you. Talk about that. Look at that beautiful Vox teardrop guitar.
I love the 70s. Yeah.
Another great drum fill. Anyway, so that's the song I enjoy, Being a Boy, parentheses, in love with you, from the Banana Splits, which was a Saturday morning TV show that ran from 1968 to 1970. It was a variety show.
I thought that was later.
And believe it or not, that's when it was.
What was that other weird... that's an impossible question to answer. What was that other weird show from the 70s?
Well, it could be H.R. Puffin stuff.
H.R. Puffin stuff is with the magical flute and the whole... Yeah.
H.R. Puffin...
Thank you for being on the same page.
H.R. Puffin stuff was created by Sid and Marty Croft, who created the Banana Splits
that's what I thought.
with Hanna-Barbera. So it's like a combination of those two
bringing
worlds.
Those cartoon characters to life through cool costumes.
For a really long time, I would DJ every other Tuesday night at the Yucca Tap Room for a night called 10 High Tuesday. I used to play that single all the time. I enjoyed Being a Boy in Love with You, and people always thought it was just like some great candy garage, pop thing.
Yeah.
That song particularly, they were hugely, the Banana Splits are 4 characters, Fleagle, Bingo, Drooperroll, and Snorky. Anyway, it was a show that was sponsored by, Tim was on the opposite Tuesdays. Not a joke. That's real. Tim, why can't I remember your night? Band?
Country stuff?
Was it band?
Country records?
Yeah, I can't remember which
records?
version. I think it was probably country, if I remember right. Anyway, H.R. Puffin stuff, the Banana Splits.
There's some good music in the H.R. Puffin stuff cinematic universe.
Well, there's a ton of good music just even in the Banana Splits.
In the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe.
Al Cooper did some music for it. Barry White did some music for it. Gene Pitney. That song was written by a guy named Joey Levine, who's also known for... Do you know that song? Yummy, yummy, yummy,
Yeah.
I got love in my tummy.
Yes.
Well, that's him too.
Cool.
There you go. Delinquency. Thank you. Punk music. Delinquency. Every other. Did Ben manage Yucca back then? I don't think Ben did. Maybe.
He probably did.
So anyway, the Banana Splits were a show, and
boy.
they in 2019 they rebooted it. Did you know that?
No.
Bizarrely, in 2019,
Hopefully they kept the same freaky costumes.
the director, Danishka Esterhazy.
Mm-hmm.
If I said that wrong, I'm sorry.
Probably.
She decided that they should make another Banana Splits movie or show, but that it should be scary. So it's a horror movie.
What? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. But let's pull up the trailer for the horror movie version of the Banana Splits. Let me just pull this up here. Guys, you got to, aside from all the times that I've done terribly with my screen today, I've done pretty good.
Yeah. No, you're...
If you cut... Wouldn't it be hilarious if we got flagged for sharing this, which is basically just a commercial?
I see the Splits riding around in the little cars, laughing and singing.
Who's excited to see the Banana Splits?
Rebecca, I'm canceling the show.
What?
Hey kids, put on your happiest faces because
Looks like an SNL skit.
show is about to begin.
Where are the children?
Mom, get out of here. Time's almost up. Why are you doing this to me? Let me out! Now the show can go on forever and
Come on, you fussy son of a... I just really want your brother's birthday to be perfect.
I gotta say, I never heard of this. I ain't never heard of this one.
Well, look for it on Blu-ray and digital.
Yeah, this is, Anita's right. This is definitely playing off the success of Five Nights at Freddy's and all
Well,
that stuff.
believe it or not,
Same people?
no,
Oh.
but before. I mean,
Oh,
Five
really?
Nights at Freddy's Five Nights at Freddy's existed.
I'm surprised that
But-
Decoy hasn't seen this.
I am surprised too. But anyway, so the banana splits still exist. They exist. What the hell is this? Yeah, that's a great question. And not one that I am prepared to answer. Okay, so that's the banana splits, and we've talked about
So
the
Five
Star
Nights
Wars
at Freddy's
band.
ripped off the Banana Splits movie.
Well, no. Like I said, Five Nights at Freddy's existed, the video game, right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
That game existed. That sort of, and then they decided to make this Banana Splits movie. Probably it's somewhat inspired by the video game Five Nights at Freddy's. But then eventually they made the Five Nights at Freddy movie as well.
Got it.
And in fact, when I was looking at YouTube comments on this, somebody said until they make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, this will have to do. Anyway, I haven't seen this movie, so I cannot argue whether or not it is good or bad, but it's probably not great. But who knows? Who knows? All I can say is that exists. So, all right.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, last but not least, just really quickly, I want to talk about one more band, a really interesting one, and they are known as...
Oh, hold on. I got a telemarketer calling me real quick. Dude, let me do this real fast. Hold on. There we go.
What do you know about Autobahn? Do you know Autobahn?
Oh, yes. This is from...
Nagelbelt?
Yeah, this is from Big Lebowski.
That's right. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is just so I can
It's a craft.
have a
It's a play on
quick-
craft work,
Yeah.
I would guess.
But also, what about... So, of course, Autobahn are the nihilists in
Yes.
Big Lebowski. And one of them is, of course, played by
Flea.
Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea,
Yes.
who will cut off your Johnson Lebowski.
Yes.
So
Flea is so great in this movie,
well, yeah, I mean, he's great in pretty much every movie he's in.
especially
I
Back to
think.
the Future. Even
But,
better.
But here, really quick, he is fantastic in Back to the Future. I don't want to get too much. We got to be careful.
Man,
here,
we
but-
are so busted. So
Look,
busted.
so there you go. You got the...
Speaking of Boogie Nights,
Yes, that's a great... He's one of the Autobahn guys. I just love What the Fuck Is With This Guy. It's one of my all-time favorites.
I gotta go watch that movie again too.
So anyway, Autobahn, yes, 100% a Kraftwerk joke.
Yeah.
In the film, they're tied up into all. RSCP is like the evil Beatles of this show.
true.
Well, if we're not talking about the Beatles, we're talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers. If we're not talking about either of those.
I told you I've been like sort of in and out of this Rick Rubin podcast, Tetragrammatron.
You have been talking to me about that one.
And I told you that when I was packing some orders up here for hours on end, I listened to 4 hours of him and Ed Norton basically just like bore the crap out of me. like the longest, like most obnoxious. But in that, they go on a little rip for about probably 45 minutes about the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
In the Edward Norton episode?
Yeah, and he's like so fluent in all things Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's friends with them. He's like very aware of all the inner workings of everything and how the music goes and how the songs are written. And they're just having this like intellectual discussion about
the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. And
He's
how-
like, look, I only hire Cliff Martinez to do all the music for my movies because he was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
yeah. It's go. I suggest go listening to that. Go
listening to that.
Go listening to that, people.
Well,
Man.
now that we're gonna wrap up so that you can go listening to that. And ma'am, it's not a personal attack. We just have to bring up Flea when we can bring him up, and Autobahn's a great one.
Nothing wrong with Flea.
Well, okay, guys, we're gonna call it. I think we'll pick up on this one more time. We keep generating good episode ideas, so maybe we'll do an Atlanta special. We have to do a hip hop special.
Yep.
We've got some other stuff in the works, but you know,
We
anyway.
got that Beatles podcast we got to do.
Yeah, I think so. Beatles cult, pop cult. We'll figure it out.
Beatles.
It's
Like pop
Wastoids.
cult? Yeah.
And you guys are hanging out. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Give us a call.
Give us a call, 1-877 Wasted. I don't have that.
No, we don't have it.
We can just do this.
Never mind. Oh, there you go. We're not offline. We're still here.
Well, but you guys, those who tune in early know that sometimes this airs when we actually technically are online. But
Well, yeah, it takes a minute for us to get our sound wrong.
anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks.
This is Wastoids. Click Vortex. Leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, please. Goodbye.